So you're basically saying, I am against reality. That's what you're saying. So the question is now, okay, how do I do this? How do I become formless myself? Well, some of the things that we've said are, well, you gotta have a pair of balls. You gotta be brave, because it is initially frightening to lose that artificiality and our will to control the world so that our artificiality, we believe, will function. You see, you don't dare let your uke come in and do whatever. Right? That's where you start for. But why don't you let them do whatever? If they're doing whatever, that's whatever is still something, and so you still have something to blend with. You don't need them to do this thing. You see? They're doing what they're doing. The problem was you can't go with it. So that's frightening. You're too nervous. You're too unwilling to let go, and that's why I always talk about the fear. The fear is in you. You won't risk this, and all I can do is put before you, I'm not dead. I didn't die from risking it. My world did not fall out from under me. In fact, my technique worked better. My world is fuller. My life is richer. What's really holding us back? I have, that I think that's still a legitimate question, even if you want to follow the Buddhist paradigm of, well, don't ask how the arrow got there, just pull it out. Okay, that has logic, but it's still very interesting to ask. And I don't mind the fact that the Judeo-Christian, this is why you do that. Okay, this is why. And you might be, I think, incorrectly going, well, because Adam and Eve ate the fruit, I don't think that's, but I think in that narrative, there's archetypal elements that explain why psychologically we can't do it. Right? We are in the garden, and everything's fine, and the animals and man are living together. I mean, think about it, right? There's no division. Because how do I know that I'm a man and not an animal? Because the animals don't live where I live, and I don't live where the animals live. And I wear clothes, and the animals don't wear clothes. You see, but in the garden, who's what? There's a hierarchy, but it's not a separation. And when do you get effed up? When you start thinking with forms. Knowledge. The tree of knowledge. The tree of good and evil. Right and wrong. Right? Up and down, left and right. Now the world starts getting divided. And when the world gets divided, fuck, you're out. You're out. I don't see how that narrative could be understood any other way. Unless you're an idiot. And you actually believe that, we're the product of several incestual relationships, right? Very naive, I think. I think it's trying to tell us the same thing. This is how you got effed up. You are stuck in by this dualistic thinking, this separation, this what are called dichotomies, these binary dichotomies going on. If you read it, well, what happened? What happened? Well, she kind of was just a mixture of desire and kind of like envy. Like, why do you get to make the rules? And kind of like, well, why not even? And then what sets in? Fear. The narrative tells you fear sets in, right? Because God's walking through the forest, right? And he must have done it before, but now they're afraid. I mean, it's all right there. That's what we do, right? We go, we go, well, I have this desire, I covet this thing. I want my uke to come in like this so I can do this damn technique. Right? You pick something. Already in the desire, you have a discriminating mind. And a discriminating mind needs binary oppositions. Not this, that. Not that, this. And now you have knowledge, good and evil, right and wrong. Right? And with that, you have fear because I have a preference and I don't want the other one to come in. And now God walks on by and he scares the shit out of you. Because you can't get rid of those fictions. You can't get rid of those constructs. I mean, understand the parable. Maybe it's not God. Maybe it's your master who's formless. And he's asking you to be formless. You fuck, you're scared. Just fucking take a break. I mean, it's perfect. If you had to write it, wouldn't that be the way to write it? Okay, there's this ultimate garden and there's no real division. Perfect story. But it's happening here on the mat. Everything is already right there for you, but you don't want it. You want something else. And that's where the problem starts. Okay? So I recommend that what you try and do is kind of make a singular effort. It doesn't always work. You try it. Do something to get rid of that initial aggressive intention that's coming in from your uke, because that is where all this starts. When they start coming in at you, you start the preferencing and the fear, and now you picking, and then it doesn't fit, and now you're effed up. Okay, so if I'm getting nervous or starting that cycle at the moment that my uke comes in, don't do your technique there. Tenkan, and let the body-mind relax, okay? Because you already responded to that thing. And in that relaxed state, you might have a better chance of allowing what's happening. The other tool that I want to give you is the age-old one, is that there's no technique for this, okay? It's about immersion and exposure. So go back to the basics. You need to be by someone who's formless, and you need to get fucked by them because you're going to get kicked. You're going to get a chop in the throat. You know what I'm saying? And you kind of like, okay, I get how this is. I get what's going on. Okay? In that same way, you're also developing your body for functioning without necessarily you thinking. You see? And that's about familiarity. Because if you're exposing yourself, you're doing more reps, right? Okay? And so when your body can kind of take over, and you got to a certain point, you might find it easier now to let your mind not start that cycle. Okay? I'm not saying that because your body is now having muscle memory, you get to, you now have an unfettered mind. That's not it. But what happens is that you're so exposed to that initial thing that jacks you up that your body starts feeling and sensing how futile it is to keep getting anxious at that state, right? Maybe on the 5th or 100th rep of someone coming in, but after 10,000, your body's gonna go, really, I seem to have survived 10,000 of these things. I don't need to hold my breath anymore. You see? And the body starts to release. And when the body releases them, you might have a chance for the mind. Again, for some people. For other people, no. So it goes back to how often are you around your teacher? How often are you on the mat? Okay? But not for the obvious reasons. Let me practice more forms. Okay? That isn't going to do it. Any other comments or questions? Yes.
During the Halloween party, you mentioned...
The what part?
Halloween party?
Yeah.
You mentioned about you get tired is because you're anxious.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of focusing on that. The first half was totally anxious because I'm like, I don't know as many moves as everybody does here on this, obviously.
Yeah.
And so I was worried about what I was
So
doing.
I know you want to make a point, but let's pull out more so you see
So
how many moves you got partitions now, right?
Well,
Do you
what I did
understand?
is
I want you to keep saying what you're saying. I don't want you to change, but I want to point out to everyone in our normal understanding that I have the tree of knowledge. You see, I have the divisions. Okay. So
which was my mistake. I
well,
pooped out and I rested, and I said, okay, I'm not even going to worry about it. I'm just going to look stupid if I have to. And I'm going to try to.
okay. Let's
not
stop
wear
there.
myself
So
out.
often the pride, right? I have a preference because I don't want my pride to be wounded. But if I let go of my pride, go on.
So the second half, I went in, I just didn't get as tired. I went through the reps, and I just did not get as tired. And that worrying about being able to do a move was tiring me out.
Yes.
Just like you said, it would.
Yes.
And so I kind of experimented with that. And I feel like that was the only thing I really
Yeah.
got from this session.
That's a huge thing.
But
Huge.
I did get it.
Okay. And now the thing is to be able to do it when they're really trying to kill me and I only have one rep to get it right.
Yeah.
Okay, at full speed. That's the idea. Which we're nowhere near, right, in this class. Okay. Alright, and something else? Rob?
I think about 5 or 7 years ago, we were asking the same question before all these people
Yeah,
showed up. So
yeah.
it's the same dialogue.
Same thing.
And the answer is just to calm down and don't pick a technique.
Yeah.
Or if you only have one technique, do one technique, but just
Yeah.
let yourself get stuck
Yeah.
and keep going and find something.
Yeah.
I notice a lot of people will get really fettered and really tense and try to pick a technique and then
Yes.
it wouldn't work and then it'd stop.
Yeah.
I'll keep coming slowly to calm
Yeah.
you down
Yeah.
to find another technique, and
Yeah.
I want you to do the same. If I miss it, just keep attacking me. I'll find
Yeah.
another technique or something else to do.
So back to my point about don't lose that intention, right? Don't stop, okay? Just keep coming. I had you re-grab on me, right? Just keep that initial attention. We're still training. You're still giving an action. I'm still responding and blending, okay?
That's what calms me down, or calms me down.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I can try to just relax and blend with whatever I'm
Yeah.
given.
Exactly. Exactly. This thing of the techniques, right? Those pie pieces, those partitions, the fictions, okay? Be honest. How many of you tried different techniques for the sake of doing something different? Okay, that's what Rob's talking about. If what you were doing before was in perfect harmony with the attack that's coming in, that is a spontaneous expression. Okay? Now when you try to do something different, you're not spontaneous anymore. You have the same partitioning, the same tree of knowledge going, right? So don't judge your techniques. I get a lot of you will say sorry to me. I'm always like, what? What possibly could you do wrong in this thing, right? If when I mention don't re-grab, it's because you're going to get hit, and I'm pretty sure you don't want to get hit, right? But it's not wrong. Not for me. I'm going to hit you, right? You get what I'm saying? Or sometimes you did something weird, and you're all sorry. I'm like, what? This is no place to be like that. And a thing that is very interesting about the Garden of Eden narrative is that there were two trees, but a lot of people don't know there were two trees. And the other tree is the tree of life, okay? And that's the one where it had no rules on. You were supposed to go to that one, you were supposed to do that. And the tree of life is about formlessness, okay? Isn't that, it's so weird, because tree of knowledge, fuck, that's good. Right? Let me have that apple. But wait, the other one's called Tree of Life. I was watching Norm Macdonald the other night if you guys haven't seen his stand-up, it's awesome. I made it, my New Year's resolution is to not die this year. He's all, because, that's got to be the suckiest thing. And I think that the doctors, the medical profession, they're getting distracted by disease because they're like, look, I can cure your arthritis. Yeah, but am I still gonna die? Yeah, so fuck. You know, they should work on this death thing. Okay, so it's kind of like that, right? When you see it in perspective, it's like, why do I want that knowledge? I want life. Okay, that's what I want is life. Okay? Which is the tree we have in the back there is the tree of life. Virginia brought that tree from.
Not in Utah.
Where
Got it in store, museum
What
store.
store?
Museum store, church museum.
A church museum store. So there's some traditions where they're very keen on this tree of life.